Welcome to All Villa, No Filler, a podcast all about Aston Villa, the world's greatest football team. Please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. This is the Midweek Social, and I'm joined today by Priyanka Jasraj. She's a member of the Villa Bellas and a Her Game 2 ambassador. Priyanka, Happy New Year and welcome back to All Villa, No Filler.
Happy New Year, Frankie. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely no worries. It was a pleasure to have you last time. So I thought we've got to get Priyanka back on again. We've got to find out how she's feeling about Aston Villa and particularly we've just finished 2023. I think to me it was maybe the best year I've ever seen as an Aston Villa fan. Um,
Yeah,
how about you? Was that the best calendar year you've seen as a Villa fan?
100%. I think, going back to the Martin O'Neill years, obviously they were delightful as well in their own right, but I wasn't a season ticket holder then. And I think since becoming a season ticket holder, it has without a doubt been my best calendar year because I've been able to actually be there and get involved, be a lot more involved with Hagging too and for the Bellas, etc. But actually being present in these moments, which I've not been able to do in previous more successful years. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
And it was a busy festive period, wasn't it? That's just been finished up.
Yeah.
It kind of started extremely hot, didn't it? We beat Manchester City and Arsenal 3 days apart, both at Villa Park. Um, I know you were at the games, so tell me, what was that experience like?
God, City, incredible. Best atmosphere I've ever experienced, best performance I've ever seen. And that team, that squad, it was outstanding. To outclass a team like City. I know they were missing the likes of Rodri and Jackie G, etc. I think Rodri missing was a big win for us because we completely ransacked through the middle.
Hmm.
We dominated. There was very good level of intensity. We were better in every department, and I think as a consequence of the kind of intent that we showed, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It's like the fans and the team were bouncing off each other all simultaneously.
Hmm.
So I don't think anything's ever going to top that. And Arsenal, it was a little bit more nervy. I'd say atmosphere was still great. Still, obviously, a good performance. I do think Arsenal probably played a bit better, but getting an early goal and then having to try and maintain that lead for such a long period of time, of course, is going to be difficult. But both pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it was absolutely sensational, wasn't it? And to beat those two teams 3 days apart and the Man City performance, as you say, I've been supporting Villa since 1992. And I think that probably is the best performance I've ever seen, given the opposition we were up against and given our record against them as well so bad. It was just phenomenal. Would you say that was your highlight of 2023 for Aston Villa? Would you say the City win, or I mean, there were quite a lot, weren't
Highlight
there?
period 2023, not even football specific, maybe.
Why, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was 100% the best. I think the Newcastle game back in April, from what I've heard, was comparable, but unfortunately I wasn't there because my friend decided to get married that day and I was bridesmaid. So after the wedding, I was running, trying to get BT Sports on my phone and trying to catch the end of the game. But yeah, from what I've experienced, definitely the best of 2023.
Yeah, I think so. The Newcastle game was amazing as well, just because it was such a statement result at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but towards the end of December, still got points, but we did
Mm,
draw at home with Sheffield United, who were bottom of the league. We did throw away a 2-0 lead at Man United and lose 3-2, but then we did beat Burnley, but kind of just got over the line in that one.
yeah.
Again, you were at the some of these games. So, what did you think of that? Why do you think Villa it got a little bit rockier towards the end of the month?
It's obviously been a busy month. For me, I think the most people probably went into those three games thinking we'd get a minimum of 7 points. I think actually a lot of people probably thought we'd get all nine. Losing Camera, I think, was the biggest issue for us. You can see a massive difference in the way that we play when we've got him in the team when we haven't. I guess he's our Rodri equivalent of
Mm.
sorts. Him being in the team allows McGinn and Douglas Luiz to do what they do best. They're not in their best positions when Camera isn't there. Dougie is a bit of a puppet master. You know, he controls the play, he controls that midfield, and he doesn't really have the ability to do that when he's got to sit a bit deeper. Similarly with McGinn, he's not able to get as high up the pitch and be as effective as he is when camera's not there. I think with Sheffield United, you know, we struggle against a low block. I don't think we've quite figured out how to play with teams that sit deep. We weren't able to break them down. The likes of Tillemans or Buendia, obviously both of whom we were missing, would have been probably quite effective in that game. They were organised and disciplined, and you know, probably not the right time to play them after Wilder came in. But yeah, we just couldn't move the ball quick enough. A lot of VAR controversy, I guess, that game.
Yeah.
With the Bulldog handball and Watkins being shoved and the shirt being pulled. It's a shame that it broke our winning streak, but you know, I think where before we've in games like this probably would have crumbled and not been able to then get on and go on and still get a point from it. That was something in itself. So at least we didn't lose, but gutted about losing the winning streak. United, devastating that was. A little bit of a blur, if I'm honest, because it was Boxing Day and there were a few drinks flying about, and I was with a few United fans. But I think they probably had an injection of something with the takeover, the Ineos deal coming in. I don't know. That being said, I guess their last result doesn't really mirror that. Again, I think though we missed the likes of Camara, Tillemans, even Pau Torres. A lot of individual poor performances, losing second balls, not really that intensity that we saw against City. We weren't really playing between the lines. And again, another stat broken where we were the only team not to drop points from winning positions, and unfortunately did. It was a bit of a shit show, if I can use that language.
Yeah.
Kind of screamed Stevie G era during that second half, which wasn't nice to see.
Don't remind us of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I think the game was probably a bit mismanaged in the second half. I think substitutions could have been used more effectively, or maybe even earlier on. But I guess Aston Villa's getting his money worth with those two set pieces, which at least were impressive.
Yeah. And then Burnley as well, just over the line. We at the Burnley game?
Yes, I was. Really disappointed with the atmosphere. It was quiet. It was very quiet. I don't know if it's off the back of the festive period and everyone's maybe a bit hungover or low on energy. Potentially also a psychological impact off the back of the two previous games. I'm not sure. You'd think the position that we're in, we're able to capitalise a lot better on down to 10 men. Obviously, Diaby should have had a hat-trick. I don't think the defending was entirely brilliant, particularly for the first goal. And then I think it adds a little bit of an antsy kind of atmosphere when you can't really celebrate Diaby's goal, for example, because everyone stood there waiting for VAR to decide what the decision is going to be. And I guess where we've been so effective with the high line and incredible stats that we have with our high line, you know, for their second goal and with the goalkeeper kind of catching us out with that long ball, was disappointing. And it makes you wonder what if we had the likes of Pau Torres or Mings there, would they be able to hold their line a bit better? Would they get back quick enough? But to be honest, they all looked a bit tired. And I think with the grueling fixture list that we had in December, it's unsurprising, but it's still good that we were able to get over the line with a win, and at least finish the year on a high.
Yeah, exactly that. I feel like December's a little bit of a leveler, and I think that Arsenal losing to Fulham the other day 2-1, and the fact and to West Ham as well 2-0.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like they had a similar problem to Villa in that I think that towards the end of December, it just kind of felt like there was quite a lot of players there who've probably been playing a lot recently. Other teams have probably studied us quite a lot more.
Yeah.
And that we just looked a little bit lower energy than I think we probably would have done at the start of the month. And everyone forgets, it's very easy to forget as well. All our players went to Bosnia halfway through the month as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And Arsenal had the same thing with the Champions League. So, I think it was just get through December. And then just getting over the line against Burnley actually was pretty crucial, because I think if we had drawn that, you'd be looking at Everton in a couple of weeks thinking like, all right, where are we now?
Yeah.
Are we in decline or here or no? But thankfully, I don't think that's going to be the case under Professor Unai, as I call him. But looking ahead, after a brilliant 2023, what would you like to see Villa achieve this year?
Seen a lot of debates going around about whether you'd like a Champions League place or whether you'd like a cup, whether that be FA Cup or
Yeah.
Conference League. I don't know where you stand with it, but I think silverware is probably pretty important, right?
Mhm.
That being said, considering the position we're in at the moment, sitting second, is this our best opportunity to push on? I don't think we're in the title race. I think with City having Haaland coming back and De Bruyne coming back and all of that, and we know the kind of runs that City go on every single season. Likely scenario is they're going to bounce back very soon.
Mhm.
Liverpool are looking quite strong, but losing players to AFCON might impact them. But I I don't think we're in the title race. Champions League, I think, yeah, it's more realistic, but it would be good to finally bring some silverware home, whether that be Conference League or FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, why not both, hopefully. But I think yeah, I think we had this debate on the podcast recently, and I think my thinking was if we can get Champions League now instead of a trophy, it just means we could potentially attract more players in the summer who might be of a
Yeah,
higher caliber, and therefore that, and it also improves Villa's reputation across the world in the sense that players look at us and go, "Oh, they're a Champions League team." So
mm,
in the long run, it might help us achieve more silverware than in the short term.
yeah,
But I remember under Martin O'Neill when we sent the kids out to Moscow thinking, "Oh,
I
this will
know.
work for us because then we can go and do well and get the Champions League." And then we didn't. We backfired and we were out. We didn't get either.
Yeah,
So I'm sure whatever it is that Professor Unai chooses to do, I will trust it.
in
Um,
Unai we trust.
yeah, but we talking to silverware this weekend. We've got Middlesbrough in the FA
Yeah.
Cup away. We have not been out of the third round of the FA Cup for a very long time, since dinosaurs walked the earth, I think. Um,
I think the more monumental thing is that we haven't drawn United again.
yeah, I know. That is a crazy record how often we've drawn them.
Yeah.
But how do you think we should line up against Middlesbrough? Do you think we should go with a full team again, or maybe bring in a few of the kids?
No, I think we need to go full team. We've only got what, three fixtures in January.
Yeah.
They've had a few days off, and I think we really need to kind of set a precedence of the more of a, I suppose, have that discipline in terms of this is what we want to achieve. We're serious about achieving this, so
Mhm.
run with it. And if that means full squad, fine, full squad it is. Like we've got to show that intent that we want to win things. And I think if we play kids, bring them on later in the game, substitutions, whatever. But we've got to start the year as we mean to go on. So I think showing that intent will be very important. It's like as more of a psychological impact for the team and the squad.
Yeah, I think you're right. And particularly how I don't think Unai will want to repeat what happened with Stevenage last year.
Definitely
That
not.
genuinely the one really God, that was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2023. It was such a great year, and then we were actually knocked
Forgot
out
about
by
that one.
Yeah. Um,
Next, we'll
uh,
be talking about Emi Martinez going up against Arsenal for that last corner.
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I could see something where Yonderan perhaps start or Zaniolo starts.
Well, interesting that there's rumours about John Duran and Milan.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that. I mean, it's a funny one with Duran. I mean, how would you feel about that if he were to go to AC Milan if that proves to be true?
I think he's obviously young. He's needs to learn the trade, learn the game. Going on loan, fine. He's obviously got raw talent there. We were all screaming Benteke when he joined. But I think he needs time to grow into his game, and I don't think he's been able to do that. And he's not obviously getting enough minutes on the pitch with Watkins having played so many minutes. Um, it's more so concerning if Watkins was to get injured, what would happen then?
Yeah.
Are we going to play Diaby as a false nine? Um, we do need cover for that area. But yeah, going out on loan, we're seeing how many of our old player or our young players, albeit we've sold them, like Jaden Philogene-Bidace or even Finazaz, and how much they're all excelling in at the clubs that they're at. So
Mm.
maybe it's just a case of him needing to nurture his talent, and maybe he's not able to do that as effectively at Villa without the game time.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. He there have been moments where he's looked like an absolutely fantastic young talent. But then also there's just that raw quality that he can only improve on if he plays more, I guess.
Yeah,
And no one's
he's
getting
got a
past.
great physical presence. He's just a
Yeah,
bit hot-headed.
yeah, yeah. He's a proper wild card, isn't he? I've
Yeah.
no idea what you're gonna get.
Do you
But
think that was a sending off, by the way,
the
with the arm,
the Sheffield United, was that
the
the
Sheffield
Sheffield United?
United? Yeah, yeah,
So I was in the stadium when that happened, and I completely didn't see him do anything at all.
yeah.
And
So,
then the highlights I've watched haven't shown that repeated, but people
oh,
have
really?
told me they think it was a red card.
Yeah, well, I think he's being held and he's trying to get his arm away. So I don't
Right.
think there's any intent for him to do anything. There wasn't any malice behind it, but yeah, it was an interesting one. But it's one of those with him where I feel like it could be a situation in the future where if he does actually get riled up, could he get a little bit antsy?
Yeah, and John Percy of the Telegraph did report the other day there might be some tension with him and Emery. So
There's been rumours of that for quite a while now, hasn't there? But that died down in between. So
yeah, it did, and it particularly because he seems to have worked his way back into the team and he's looked
yeah.
focused on the pitch and that. So it's yeah, I was
Mm,
quite surprised when I saw that written by John Percy. I wondered, because we're just not on the training ground, we have no idea. But
yeah.
yeah, it's quite
I haven't read
interesting.
it yet. I need to check it out.
Yeah, well, he was talking about the January transfer window in that article, right? So, uh, you know, obviously FFP probably restricts what lots and lots of clubs can do across
Mm,
the country, and Villa will be no stranger to that either. But there might be some freedom to do something, and if
yeah.
there is, where would you like to see Villa improve this January?
Got a bit of backlash on a tweet or X or whatever from the other day, and it wasn't by any stretch me um, saying Diego Carlos is a rubbish player or that
Yeah.
he doesn't deserve to play for Villa or calling him out in that kind of way. You know, in my opinion, he is a little bit slower on the ball than Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa. Um, I don't think he's as progressive with his passing, although that did get a lot of backlash because they were like, well, actually, it was his ball that led to a goal. Yeah,
Mm.
but just generally. Um,
Yeah.
I do feel a little bit more antsy when he's on the ball. I'm a bit more nervous when he's on the ball. And I think the only reason why he's come in as centre back is, well, because Ezri Konsa is filling that role of right back. I don't think Emery seems to fancy Matty Cash for whatever reason.
Mm.
And I do think Ezri Konsa is far more suitable and far more effective in his usual right centre back position. So if it's a case of Emery not fancying Matty Cash, I think we need to probably fill that right back role.
Mhm.
Because we want to have our strongest players in the positions that they're strongest in. So if it means having to bring someone in to get Ezri Konsa back there, then I'm all for that. It's interesting because I've been watching it quite a lot, and a lot of people have been calling out the fact that Matty Cash doesn't make those runs anymore. He doesn't keep going forward. He stops his run and he plays the ball in. But he
Mm.
never used to do that before. And I think from what I've seen, Emery kind of fancies more the left back flying forward and the right back sitting a little bit deeper
Yeah.
and not being as attacking minded. So I think that is more of a tactical thing than it is Matty Cash's inability to go forward.
Mhm.
Um, but I think where he is more of an attacking right back, I think Emery maybe wants a bit more of a defensive right back. So I know we've been linked to the likes of Frimpong. I think it might be a little bit too much money there, but
Mm.
someone like Juan Foyth as well, we've been linked to. Sasha Bowie at Galatasaray, 22. He's amazing defensively and in duels as well. There's a few people, and I think also if Longley goes to Bayern, because there's been links of Barcelona recalling him, maybe to find someone that could also cover that centre back position as well, because we're not. Again, we've got Consel, we've got Pau Torres, we've got Diego Carlos, but he doesn't
Mm.
seem to fancy Cam Chambers either. Um, so maybe someone that can fill both there. So I think definitely right back is somewhere we need to find back up. I think the striking position's a little bit of a sticky one because obviously we got rid of Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins completely excelled after that. You know,
Yeah.
he likes being the main striker. Emery likes having a main striker. So we don't want that to kind of be detrimental to Watkins' game. And, you know, recently been noticing more and more like he holds his run a lot better now. I think he used to get caught offside a little bit more, maybe like a year ago or something, but not so much. And obviously, being the top of the league with his 8 assists, you know, you don't want to do anything that's going to negatively impact his game. But yeah, maybe looking for some sort of cover for Ollie Watkins, particularly if John Duran is off.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe a creative player as well, particularly with all these teams. Well, with Sheffield United having played such a low block against us, I think more and more teams are going to do that now with the style of football that we play. And with the likes of Tillemans being out with injury, Buendia being out with injury, you know, we might need to have a bit more of a creative player coming in, maybe someone like Albert Goodmanson, or Jan Nicholas Beste, who all of whom have been getting loads of goals and assists for their respective teams. So potentially, you know, they're not household names, but they're performing in top leagues at mid teams. So they're probably going to be more gettable because I guess it goes to your point earlier. You know, if we're in the Champions League, we're going to attract probably bigger and better players. But for now, where we're not, you know, getting these players who are at more mid-table teams but are performing very well in these top leagues, they're definitely more attainable.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what I'd like to see if we possibly could is like a kind of a repeat of what happened with Alex Moreno last year. You know, Moreno 13, 14 million. It ended up being a really transformative player for Aston
Yeah.
Villa. A brilliant, brilliant signing he's been, and probably not on the biggest wages in the world either. Just a canny signing. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Villa do. Right back as you mentioned seems like the glaring position where there's some uncertainty or just a
Mm,
lack of strength in depth and maybe not quite as much trust in Cash as other areas of the pitch. Um, it's funny what you say about Diego Carlos as well because I liked that tweet because I agreed with what he said.
I saw.
Yeah, it was because you are right about the distribution. Like he's right, his long ball distribution it can be very good. You know, the first goal against Burnley happened
Yeah.
because of his ball over the top. But uh he's given away 2 goals in against Bournemouth and Manchester United, trying to
Mm,
play passes that aren't on in the centre.
yeah.
And there's just occasions where he looks to me a little when he's chasing back, he can look a little clunky or
Yeah. Definitely.
awkward.
He's not as agile as the likes of Pau Torres or
No.
Tyrone Mings or Ezri Konsa. He looks a little bit more, I guess, nervous.
Yeah, and that's
Back.
understandable. Given he was out for a year.
Yeah.
He's still working his way back. But I do think I agree in the sense like when I watch him, I don't feel as confident
Mm,
as when Konsa is in that position. Konsa just
yeah.
has that cool, calm, collected. You don't think he's going to make a mistake, whereas
No.
Carla should just do feel like, oh, there's probably going to be a few comments now under this saying, "How dare you?" I know what it's like online. Sometimes you put a tweet or you say
Yeah.
something on YouTube and um, people, don't seem happy about it. But
Yeah.
it is what look,
But this is by no means us,
no,
you know, saying he's a bad player or
no, we're
anything.
not
But
saying
I
that.
think we've
No,
also got to remember, and something else that was in my comments was, oh, but he's our fourth choice right centre back. But he wasn't. He was brought in as a first choice
yeah, he was,
centre
yeah,
back, and he wasn't cheap,
no,
albeit it was under Steven Gerrard. But you know, for the reputation that he had and the money that we brought him in for, he was never supposed to be a fourth choice centre back. You're not going to spend that kind of money on a fourth choice centre back. So I think we've got to bear that in mind. And completely on your point of him having been injured and it takes time. I mean, look at Jacob Ramsey. He's not been able to find his groove
Mm,
yet. He's not the Jacob Ramsey that we all know and love. So I do understand that after injury, it's going to take time. And I know we'll all give the likes of Tyrone Mings grace when he comes back from
yeah,
injury. But yeah, it's more so the situation whereby him playing and the consequence of him playing means Konsa and right back and Konsa then not being as effective
yeah.
in his natural position.
Yeah, completely, totally agree. And I think for me, I think the positions that are seem glaring to me are the backup options for goalkeeper and striker. I think
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
where you do think, oh, there's such a drop off that we're either
Where's
to get
Olsen
injured.
gone?
I don't actually know. Yeah, I was thinking that. Don't know whether
Because he's
it
just
was.
not been on the subs bench for I don't know how long now. And
Yeah.
there was a presser put out, and Emery was saying he's looking for like a young keeper to kind of
I saw that.
um, develop and whatever. But yeah, I don't really know what's happened to Olsen.
And I feel like Emmy Martinez would enjoy having a young keeper there. He could be
Yeah,
like his like goalkeeper
as
dad
long
or
as he doesn't
something.
teach him to kind of play up to Neil Malpe's
Yeah.
antics and consequently get camera sent off.
Yeah, which all that wrestling was actually hilarious, but also
I
terrible because it was so stupid to get involved with it.
know.
But look, Priyanka, you're clearly a very passionate Aston Villa fan. Where did something we ask on the midweek social all the time. So
Mhm.
where did this love for Villa come from?
Unfortunately, my dad.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he supported Villa from, so he was born in Tanzania and he used to just follow English football. He used to write to football clubs, and Villa were the only team to write back. Um, Villa actually went and did a pre-season tour of some sort in Tanzania. It was when they'd just been relegated to the third or fourth division back in like 72, 73. But he also liked Norwich because his local Tanzanian team wore the same colours as Norwich.
right.
So there were like two teams in Tanzania. There was the one that he supported. I don't remember either of these names for the life of me. But then there was the other one, which is where Ali Samata came from. So when we signed Samata, my dad was the person in the crowd carrying this Tanzanian flag with so much pride. But yeah, so he went to go and watch them play in Tanzania, and then he subscribed to all the magazines and stuff. So he's got like a whole kind of scrapbook with loads of cuttings out and stuff like that. Which I told him about 4 years ago I was going to kind of fix up for him, but I haven't done so yet. And it's quite amazing. Like on the last page, he's got this whole accounting book. So it's all the players we signed and how much we signed them for, where from, and how much we sold them for, and where they went. And so yeah, he when he moved here, he used to go all over the country to follow Villa. And then when my brother and I were born, it was like, you support Villa, you're at my house. So I was like, great, I guess I'm supporting Villa. And then yeah, when the season before we got promoted, when we beat Wolves in March, what was it, 4-0 or something, 4-1?
Yeah.
I thought we were getting promoted, and I was like, I was just on a high after that game, and I was like, I'm getting a season ticket. I don't care about you guys, but I'm gonna do it. And they're like, okay,
Amazing.
fine, we'll do it too. So then we all got season tickets. Lo and behold, we didn't get promoted. I started a new job. I couldn't go to midweek games, championship games, obviously. But then yeah, after that, it's just been a consistent thing, and I wouldn't dare to think about um giving up my season ticket now. So yeah,
Fair.
it was just a love that came from my dad, but then developed over the years for whatever reasons. Just became, I guess, a passion of mine. And I was the only kind of girl amongst my friends and family that liked football. So I kind of felt like, oh, this is my USP of sorts. So I kind of ran with that.
Yeah.
So generally, if I meet someone new and I'm having a conversation, my safe zone and my go-to would be probably football related.
That is absolutely amazing. I mean, you got the season ticket at the right time as well, particularly
Yeah,
now given the waiting list.
definitely.
But but yeah, it's quite funny. So my uncle played for Aston Villa in the 1970s, in the late 70s, 75, 79. His name was John Dean. He was a striker with Andy Gray, Brian Little,
Oh
and
wow.
something definitely remember my mom telling me because he would be at home like at their house when he broke through like 17, 18. And something I definitely remember my mom telling me is that he would get letters from around the world, and one country was
Really?
Tanzania. So I'm sort of like wondering
Oh,
if
that's
you
so
ever, if yeah, if your
interesting.
dad, I don't know, but I'm fascinated to know. And I don't know
Yeah,
whether it
ask
would
him.
go directly to the players, whether it would go to the
I
club,
think
or the
somewhere, because I
to the
remember him
players.
mentioning something about Andy Gray at some point, and maybe I'm making that
Right.
up. I've heard this story so many times. I've also just like kind of made my own slightly Chinese whispers version of it without
Yeah.
realizing. And then it
Yeah.
was just literally at the Burnley game where my mate Ben was there, and his mum asked, "Oh, so why do you support Villa?" And I was like, "Dad, why don't you explain why you
Yeah.
support Villa?" And then he told the story, his version of the story, and I was like, "Oh, I thought Norwich also used to write back to you, but no, it was just the colours." So I don't know if the Andy Gray thing is true, but
Yeah.
I will definitely ask him.
Yeah, no, because I definitely remember my mom telling me that, and I remember Tanzania being one country she mentioned. So
Yeah, that's
that's quite
crazy.
fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
but look, Priyanka, you are also part of the Villa Bellas.
I am.
Can you tell us who they are and how you can get involved?
Yes, so Villa Bellas are the official network supporting women, girls, and non-binary people. We're basically there to stand up for women. And we've been doing a number of things across the last year or so. We work in conjunction with Her Game Too, which is a non-profit organisation set up by female football fans to stamp out misogyny and sexism in the game. So we're partnered up with Her Game Too, we're partnered up with Villa. I guess we're kind of like a triangle of sorts, I'd probably describe it. So the best way of getting involved is you can sign up and be a member. We've got over 100 members signed up. So, if people are interested, I can send you over the link and you can add it to the bio or whatever. But then we've got a WhatsApp group where we've got all of our members there. So a bit of chat and stuff going on there. We've done a few things in 2023, which we're really, really proud of. The Spurs fixture in particular was our dedicated Her Game 2 fixture, which was really exciting to see. And since then, off the back of that, we've had an installation of like banners. I don't know if you've seen around Villa Park, but it says Her Game 2. And that's there every game. And then every half time, we've got advertisement about that as well. But from a specific Villa Bellas perspective, we've been supporting the foundation in various activities, including a menopause workshop that we did towards the end of last year. We were invited to be part of the Villa kit launch, which was quite sad because it was a great day, like super fun. And they had this whole creative idea of how they wanted all the diversity groups and all the fan groups to be involved to launch the new kit. And then we were kind of sidelined. They were just like, no, we don't want to go down that creative angle anymore, which is a shame, but it was still really fun. And yeah, we're just working with the club, working with the other fan groups, part of the FAB meetings, part of Fans for Diversity, ensuring that football was as inclusive as it can be. And also Her Game 2 recently have kind of done a deal with West Midlands Police, a collaboration of sorts across all the West Midlands football clubs. It's a pilot to kind of enhance safety and security and reporting mechanisms within the football clubs. Something that we kind of are encouraging all supporters to utilise, and they can file reports through the Her Game 2 system, and then that gets forwarded and logged to West Midlands Police. And I guess it allows us to be more vigilant in reporting sexism and misogynistic incidents, because I'm sure we're all here to stamp out misogyny and sexism in the game where we can. But yeah, looking forward, we're in constant communication with the club. We're hoping to have a dedicated Villa Bellas Her Game 2 fixture this season. And we actually, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the club have there's on the right of the Trinity, if you're sat in the Trinity on the right, like between the Holt and the Trinity, they've put up all the diversity group banners. So there's been a whole launch about that where they've kind of, they're showcasing all the diversity groups within the club, and hopefully as a consequence of that, there's going to be more content coming out and more support behind what we do. So up there you'll see Villa and Proud, Villa Bellas, Punjabi Villains, etc. I think there's maybe about 6 or 7 flags. So at the moment we've got a lot of support from the EDI department at Villa, and we hope to be able to amplify what we did in 2023, which is a hugely successful year for us considering it was our first full year since inception. To then grow it even more, and working alongside the club and Her Game 2, I think will allow us to elevate it much further.
Well, brilliant stuff.
Sorry, that was a massive ramble.
No, it's good to know, for sure. And I'm sure there's people watching and listening who weren't too aware before and now know a lot more, and some who will want to get involved as well. So you're also a Her Game 2 ambassador. What is Her Game 2?
So Her Game 2 is a non-profit organisation that was set up to stamp out sexism and misogyny in the game. So it was set up by a group of female football fans, and essentially their aim is to kind of cover the whole football pyramid, which they've almost done from Premier League all the way down to all the local clubs and stuff, to grassroots football. But we have ambassadors and we have advocates for majority of the clubs. And at Villa, we've got 3 ambassadors. So we've got myself, we've got Sarah Breslin, and we've got Lena Curran. Lena and I cover Villa men, and Sarah covers Villa women. And so, yeah, we're trying to, as a whole, make the world a better and less sexist place. But I think what's really kind of strong about our relationship is because we've got a lot of clubs don't have their like specific supporters network for women, girls, and non-binary people, whereas we've got Villa Bellas and we've got Her Game Too, and we've got the support of the club. So working together and working in unison is really effective, and it gives us a platform to do bigger and better things. But yeah, the kind of messaging behind Her Game Too is to support women in the game, whether that be the men's game or the women's game. Whether that also be to, I don't know, have sanitary products in toilets, or whether it be to report things and, try and make it a more safer environment. They have designated pubs around the country that are Her Game Too designated pubs to kind of enhance that kind of security feeling for women. Yeah.
So, well, brilliant. No, it sounds like you're doing absolutely amazing work, to be honest, Priyanka, and a great representative, not just for the Villa fan base, but Aston Villa Football Club as well, really. So Priyanka, you're a great follow online on Twitter. Some people are a lot following on there. You're one of the best ones. So how,
appreciate that.
So how can we follow you online? And also, how can we follow the Villa Bellas as well?
Yeah, so we are across all social media platforms, I'd say. Villa Bellas, you can find us. Now, I always get this wrong. It's either Villa Bellas, one word, on Twitter or Instagram, and the other one is villa.bellas. We've also got a LinkedIn page and a Facebook page. And like I said, you can sign up to be a member as well. We're trying to grow that as much as possible. We're going to have newsletters and things like that going out, which we've done a few of, and we've been involved in blogs and those kind of things. So we're trying to grow that as much as we can. Her Game Too, you'll find them all over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn as well, and same with me to be honest, across all the main social media platforms. So yeah, check us out, give us a follow, and if you'd like to get involved, feel free to let me know.
I have just checked on Twitter. It's Villa Bellas with no dots, so it's just Villa Bellas.
So it's Instagram then. Thank you for checking. Instagram is Villa.Bellas. And I'm kind of now been put in charge of the creative social media stuff, which, by the way, I have no experience in. I just did a couple of reels last season and they were okay. So I'm going to try and level up on that because it does not come naturally to me. I cannot draw a stick man to save my life. I'm not a creative person at all. So maybe avoid Instagram for now because it could be pretty embarrassing content on my behalf.
I don't know.
But other than that, it'll be Villa.Bellas.
Well, brilliant. Well, Priyanka, thanks so much for coming on. Before you go, next game, Middlesbrough. Can I get your score prediction?
3-0.
3-0? Who's scoring?
I don't even know where that came from.
Who's scoring? Who's going to score? Younes has 3 own goals.
Bailey, Diaby, Watkins.
Okay.
I want to say all 3 of them will back. Oh, maybe Zaniolo.
Yeah, I'm going to go Zaniolo. I think I'm feeling it was Zaniolo.
Also, Leon Bailey on fire. What a player this season.
Absolutely astonishing. What a turnaround and what a just
incredible.
I never ever thought he would get to a level like this. He's currently one of the best players in the Premier League. Like that's
absolutely. His return is incredible. His like goals and assists per game, the best 0.7 or something, isn't it?
It's absolutely
unbelievable.
Mad. And every time he gets,
need to wrap him in bubble wrap and just protect him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's just honestly, it's like to see such a glow up. It's absolutely mad. It's like I've turned into Brad Pitt or something. Like I just would never dream of looking like this, and somehow he's done it. He's and also against Burnley, I think there was one moment in the corner where he got taken down, or there was 2 players on him and went in physically.
And he kept running.
Yep. I love that everybody
never used to do that.
Yeah, everyone noticed
the man
that.
never used to even track back before. Down that side, you'd have Matty Cash by himself.
Yeah.
No Leon Bailey in sight. Now he does not and I think he used to fall over a little bit too easily before.
Oh yeah, he did.
Now he's taking on players, skimming them, everything.
Think how much you can think in Unai Emery is so much a manager that you want players to work. What he sees in Bailey, he must be absolutely he must be so proud and happy of what he's doing. And also so good at saying to him, I bet you can do just a little bit better, and just always getting him to perform to higher levels. It's a fun time to support Villa with players.
I just want football back already. I want more games this month. 3's not enough.
Yeah.